Sri Krishna Story Box.
The world moves restlessly, chasing success and countless responsibilities. Yet within the rush, a few hearts silently long for divine connection. A sister lovingly encourages her sister Radha to attend satsang, asking her to step away from screens and daily distractions. She explains that Hari Katha, the stories of Sri Krishna, and Kirtan, divine music, nourish the soul and bring true peace. They are not just listening, they are acts of purification. The right direction begins at home. Elders must light the way for the young. Through Shravanam, sacred hearing, past sins are burned to ashes. The ego softens, anxiety fades, and the mind fills with peace. Step into satsang, where every word is a prayer, and every heart beats as one. Now are you ready to hear the divine journey of the king who became a saint through pure devotion? Kulasekhara Alvar, the king who became a servant to the Lord. In the sacred soil of Bharat, when devotion quietly dimmed, when the world longed for devotion, Lord Narayana sent his divine attributes to manifest on earth. Not conquest, but compassion. Not weapons, but words. Not fear, but love for one single heart. Lord Narayana. There were 12 Alvars souls deeply immersed in the Lord. Some were kings, some saints, some warriors, and one, the divine bride of the Lord. But all were filled with pure devotion. Now let us witness them one by one. Poige Alvar, the sacred resonance of Panchajanya, the divine conch. Alvar, the unwavering strength of Kaumodaki, the divine Kada. Alvar, the piercing wisdom of Nandaka, the divine sword. Perumal Alvar, the protective fire of the Sudarsana Sakra, the divine discus. Alvar, the commanding grace Viswaksena, leader of the Lord's army. Madhuragavi Alvar, the devoted spirit of Vainadeya, Garuda himself. Kulasekhara Alvar, the radiant brilliance of the Kaustubha, jewel upon the Lord's chest. Peri Alvar, the soaring devotion of Garuda, the Lord's eternal mount. Andal, the gentle grace of Bhudevi, the divine Mother Earth. Tondaradipudi Alvar, the sacred fragrance of the Lord's Vanamala garland. Tiruppan Alvar, the pure auspiciousness of the Srivatsa mark upon Lord's chest. Tirumangai Alvar, the focused precision of Sharanga, the divine bow. If the Lord is everywhere, why did the Alvars glorify specific temples? Because in those sacred places, devotion took form, and the Lord chose to dwell for his devotees. Divya Desams are the 108 sacred temples of Lord Vishnu, praised in the hymns of the Alvars. When an Alvar sanctified a temple through Mangala Sasanam, the act of glorifying the Lord, It became a Divya Desam, from Srirangam to Tirumala, from Kanchipuram to Badrinath. These are not just temples, but living abodes of Lord Narayana. The Alvars did not merely visit them, they experienced, sang, and surrendered to the Lord there. Because of their devotion, these temples became eternal. Their tears became verses, their love became hymns, forming the Tamil Veda, the Nalayira Divya Prabandham. Among those 12 radiant souls, one wore a crown. He was a king, a warrior, a poet, a lover of Rama. He was Kulasekhara Alvar. The sacred Malay Nadu, the Kerala of majestic mountains and flowing rivers, where in holy Tiruvanjikalam of the mighty Chera dynasty, a divine story began. A righteous king, Tritvrada Maharaj, was a deep devotee of Lord Vishnu. He ruled with Dharma and grace, yet his heart longed for a child. With folded hands, he stood before the Lord. O Lord, bless me with a child. At the destined divine moment, the Lord answered his prayer. A baby boy was born, but he was no ordinary child. He was divine, an incarnation of the Kaustubha, the sacred jewel that shines upon the Lord Vishnu's chest. The entire empire rejoiced. Drums echoed, lamps were lit, festivals filled the streets. On the 10th day, amidst sacred rituals and Vedic chants, the child was given the name Kulasekhara. Like any child, young Kulasekhara was playful and joyful. But even as he grew, his brilliance shone. He trained in warfare, horse riding, commanding elephants, sword fighting, mace combat, and chariot skills. When the time came, he ascended the throne and became the king of Sharanagati. Under his just and graceful rule, the kingdom prospered. He protected the weak, honored the righteous, and upheld justice for all. From ministers to common people, everyone respected and rejoiced in his reign. King Kulasekhara was not meant to rule only a land, but hearts. King grew not only in power, but in inner awakening. Even while seated on a golden throne, he meditated on eternity, often journeying to Srirangam and other sacred temples in search of Lord Vishnu. And composing heartfelt poems in praise of the Lord. The crown grew heavy, the palace felt like a cage, for he was a king in the world, but his heart longed only for God. But his ministers were worried. What if the just and compassionate king left for Srirangam and never returned? so they devised a plan. Whenever he wished to go, they brought saints to the palace instead. The king would smile and stay. With folded hands, he welcomed the devotees, offered prasadam, sat at their feet, and listened to Harikatha. The ruler of a great empire humbly served wandering saints, believing that even a single day of serving a pure devotee brings immense spiritual blessing. Every day, King Kulasekhara listened to the sacred Ramayana of Sri Rama. To him, it was not a story, it was living reality. The court scholars read only the joyful parts of the Ramayana, skipping the sad scenes to keep the king calm and peaceful. King Kulasekhara did not merely hear the Ramayana, he lived it. He rejoiced at Rama's coronation, celebrated his return from exile, and declared festivals for every joyful moment. One day, the court scholar was absent. In his place, his young son began reading the Ramayana. Unaware of the minister's instruction to read only the joyful portions, the young prince continued the Ramayana without skipping a single verse. The young prince came to the intense episode where the demon Chera attacked Rama with an army of 14,000 Rakshasas in Janasthana. Soon after, he read of the heartbreaking moment when Sita was abducted by Ravana, who had come in disguise through the trick of the golden deer. Whenever Sita and Rama faced danger, the king trembled with emotion. Tears filled his eyes. Hearing that Rama was fighting alone against thousands of demons, he leapt from his throne, grabbed his sword and cried, "Prepare the army! How can Rama fight alone while I still live?" The entire court stood stunned. The king marched with his army toward Lanka and reached the shores of the ocean. There, the ministers gently informed him, "Rama has already won the battle." Relief filled his heart. "Victory to Rama," he whispered. Then all understood King Kulasekhara was no ordinary king. He was a ruler whose heart lived in the Ramayana. While discussing war and politics, the king would suddenly rise. A holy devotee has come, and he would leave everything to serve the visiting Vaishnavas. So ministers made a plan. They hid a sacred necklace from Lord Rama's deity and blamed the Vaishnavas. King Kulasekhara listened calmly. Devotees of the Lord cannot steal. he declared. To prove his faith, he said, "Bring a basket with a venomous cobra. If they are pure, it will not harm me." Without fear, he placed his hand inside. The court froze. Moments later, he withdrew his hand. Untouched. The ministers fell at his feet in shame and confessed their plot. But the king forgave them. That day, all saw a greater power than armies, the power of unshakable faith. The cobra incident changed everything. For King Kulasekhara, it was a clear sign. The time had come to leave the throne. He felt deep detachment. The palace no longer held him. The crown no longer defined him. With calm resolve, he gave the kingdom to his son. Leaving royal life behind, King Kulasekhara, along with his daughter Chera, began a sacred journey. Who is Chera? Chera was deeply devoted to Lord Vishnu. She served devotees, listened to Harikatha, and lived day and night immersed in thoughts of the Lord. With deep love and reverence, King Kulasekhara took his daughter to the sacred Sri Ranganatha Swami temple, where both humbly served the Lord. One blessed day, as Chera beheld Lord Ranganatha, tradition tells that in that sacred moment she was united with him, merging into a radiant divine light. In this divine union, Kulasekhara Alvar offered not just ornaments, but his entire royal treasury to the temple. Within Sri Rangam temple stands a shrine for Chera Nachyar. Each year, during Sri Rama Navami, their sacred union is celebrated as Serti Seve. When Perumal, Lord Narayana sits beside her for public darshan, a beautiful reminder that pure love knows no separation. Chera was not just a princess, she was a bride of the divine. Kulasekhara Alvar travelled to many sacred places, Tirumala, Ayodhya, and Chitrakoot, where his devotion deepened at every step. His greatest prayer was simple: "O Narayana, let me become the threshold of your shrine, to lie there forever, gazing upon your face and lips that shine like precious jewels." And tradition says he became the sacred door sill in Tirumala and Srirangam. Even today, The threshold before the sanctum is known as Kulasekhara Padi. Kulasekhara Alvar, a master of both Tamil and Sanskrit. He gifted us two priceless treasures, Perumal Tirumozhi and Mala. In Perumal Tirumozhi, he poured out pure devotion, even wishing to become a stone step at the Lord's feet. In Mala, he offered a garland of Sanskrit hymns that awaken the soul. Through one, he melted hearts. Through the other, he stirred spirits. In his final years, he remained in Mannargovil, humbly serving Lord Rajagopal Swami with deep devotion. At the age of 67, he attained liberation, entered the eternal abode of the Lord, and was united with him forever.
कृष्ण त्वदीय पद पंकज पंजरान्तम् अद्यैव मे विशतु मानसराजहंसः प्राणप्रयाण समये कफवात पित्तये कंठावरोधन विधौ स्मरण